topic, and we're so close to the launch of this call. The topic of this call, ApoE, is something that is really close to our hearts. It's kind of, as all of you will know, of course, 60% of Alzheimer's cases are ApoE4 carriers. We know it's a very important risk factor to develop late onset Alzheimer's. And also what we know is that there is a differential treatment response in those patients. Knowing all of that, it really is quite amazing that comparatively little research has been done on this topic, and that still many basic questions really remain. Basic about the ApoE biology, and we do not have many approaches based on that we can really use to help this big number of patients. We don't even know very basic things like whether we want to increase ApoE function, decrease ApoE function levels, and which of those functions that we want to address there. So with that in the back of our mind, what we want to do with this program is really understand ApoE4 related liability in Alzheimer's disease more. And through that, we want to identify novel methods to target this liability, because we really want to achieve disease modification, so really slow down the disease progression, or even kind of delay the disease onset in this large patient population. And that is something we want to achieve by setting up a group of people with the same desire in the back of their mind that really will focus on this question. And what we want is really that ApoE biology in Alzheimer's is going to be the center of what we do here. We want to really let ApoE biology drive what we need to do. So with that, I come to the objectives of the full project. What we want to do is identify the critical mechanisms by which ApoE leads to the development of Alzheimer's, to identify new treatment approaches, and then as a next step to really identify also biomarkers to support treating the ApoE4 positive patients. And what we want to do is really understand how ApoE4 leads to Alzheimer's, and not, for instance, how ApoE4 might fit into the A-beta hypothesis, which is something that that we feel has been on already in the past. We really want this this consortium to really focus on ApoE4-led science. And the next point I wanted to make clear: this is a call that is supposed to a project that is supposed to last for 3 years, and the aim I just mentioned is pretty big to achieve in 3 years. So what we need to do is really focus on getting good starts, good points that we can work from, because we would like to use this to use as a basis for a follow-up action that would build on the assets and results from this initiative to really bring the target that we identify and the understanding that we identify here as part of this program to bringing it further and closer to the patients. So the sub-objectives are firstly, that we want to clarify the role of ApoE as a risk factor for the development of AD, and more specifically late onset Alzheimer's disease, the most important form of Alzheimer's disease. We want to understand how ApoE4 also interacts with other risk factors for Alzheimer's disease, as well as genetic factors that imply risk. The second objective is that we examine further the ApoE4 interaction with neurodegeneration, and that beyond the but not excluding the interaction with A-beta. Things like synaptic integrity has been discussed, mitochondrial dysfunction, general brain atrophy, neuroinflammation is something that that also has attracted quite some attention. And really, we would like to understand also more about this basic, very basic question: toxic gain of function versus loss of function. What is it we need to do? But another point I wanted to highlight here is ApoE2. I've been talking about ApoE4 the whole time, and also there's a lot of data now starting to indicate that really ApoE2, E3, E4 is not a continuum, but we also need to think about what we can learn from ApoE2 to help understand how we can improve the disease development in our ApoE4 carriers. And then the last sub-objective here is to provide evidence for identification of biomarkers. Because of course where we want to go is we want to go from the target, the biology understanding, the target, and then to bring those to the clinic. All of this is supposed to be a pre-competitive activity. The results are supposed to be made available to the scientific community, as this is really a competitive program, pre-competitive program. What does all of that mean? The consortium will include academic institutions, small medium enterprises, as well as FPA or companies. And we want to develop tools that are freely shared between the partners and a scientific community. What we want is to share existing knowledge to accelerate Alzheimer's disease research, and we want to disseminate the results to the scientific community. And this is very important. The whole thing should be a collaboration, and really here we want to achieve the 1 + 1 = 5. We really want to, through this collaboration, be able to move fast to identify a potential to work further in this ApoE field, to really bring this to the patients. All of that, of course, also means that we will have regular meetings and workshops so that we can openly discuss the results and come forward. It is really through this collaboration and the interactions and sharing our experience that we hope that we can speed up this area of science, where there is kind of which could support such an important medical need. But we don't kind of believe that we are the be-all and end-all. As mentioned earlier, there are several existing consortia that are working on areas that are close to what we are doing here, that may have information that we might be able to mine, that might be interesting to work with. Here, several of them are listed at the bottom of this slide, and we would really like to encourage for us to work with those organizations. Several of the FPA partners are also part of those consortia that I mentioned here, and we would really want to make sure that all of the information that is there, that we use it to help us drive to come to our deliverable that we want to work to. What do we expect the impacts to be of this project on the R&D process? Firstly, we want to accelerate research. I think that has become clear of what I've said earlier. Through this collaboration, we really want to make a 5 out of a 1 + 1. So we really want to accelerate the research. We want to deploy synergism. We want to share the tools, both within the consortium, and there, of course, we'll also share the experiences, but also with the scientific community. And really, we want to maximize the impact by combining multiple approaches. The second important impact that we are hoping for is really that we generate a high-quality toolbox. There's a characterized toolbox that will facilitate exploring the role of ApoE in Alzheimer pathophysiology also beyond the this project. The third point is the druggable point. What really we want to come to is to have targets, or maybe devalidate targets of how we can address this disease in the carriers. And the last point is the translational tools that will then support the future clinical studies to really make sure that what we are doing here will have impact to the patients. Because in the end, what we want is a better treatment, options for ApoE4 carriers. With that, I come to the suggested architecture of the project. We are proposing 5 work packages. The first work package is the project management work package. This includes the grant administration, communication, as well as dissemination of results and data. Also, this work package is responsible for a sustainability plan to continue beyond the duration of the call. This is a very important work package, and if this one works well, this makes it possible for the scientists to really focus on the science and to really focus on delivering on the objectives that we have set ourselves. So when we come to work package 2, we want to set up a set of ApoE relevant models that are high quality, relevance to humans, and these need to be characterized. So these can then be used both in the consortium, and they can also be shared outside. But really what we want to aim with this work package is to have to enable a systematic investigation of ApoE biology. So the deliverables for this work package are technologies and models that have been validated by the consortium for robustness, reproducibility, as well as suitability to be used in the research and development process. Work package 2 and work package 3 and work package 4 are really kind of the meat of the program, which are focusing first on ApoE and neurodegeneration. So what we envisage here is that different types of technologies, so bioinformatics, but also in vitro and in vivo, but also human postmortem studies, are all combined to increase our understanding on how ApoE impacts neurodegeneration in Alzheimer's, and this to identify and validate targets for, in the ApoE pathways. So deliverables here will be the validated targets for therapeutic interventions. Similar is for work package 4, where again bioinformatics, in vitro and in vivo, as well as postmortem studies in highly relevant model systems for human biology will be used to improve our understanding of ApoE interactions with other AD risk and genetic factors. And again, the deliverables here are validated targets for therapeutic intervention. Work package 5 will be more about data and knowledge management. This will be a work package that will really do data mining, try to find all of the information that also we can get from outside, as well as interrogate the knowledge from generated by work packages 2, 3, and 4 to come up with ideas, hypotheses, test hypotheses, or devalidate hypotheses. They're also responsible for the establishment of data formats and content standards, so we can collect data and manage the data. And their deliverable will be a data and knowledge management plan. Now, with all of that, you may be asking, what is a validated target? As mentioned, this is a very important deliverable for this consortium, and I expect that this is a question that we will work through over the 3 years that we are active in this program. But really, two important basic aspects here are that a validated target needs to be supported by human biology, on the one hand. And the second point is that it needs to be validated in preclinical models. And there you see the preclinical models is something that we will also get through our interactions with work package 2 and work package 5. And the human biology will have kind of here the support from work package 5 will again be very important, as well as the human tissue and models based on human ApoE and other proteins relevant for the hypothesis we are testing. That's to the architecture. What is it we are expecting from the applicants? From the applicants, we are hoping to get expertise in AD pathophysiology, a good understanding of Alzheimer's disease pathophysiology, as well as the disease progression. That is on the one hand. On the other hand, ApoE and ApoE protein function in normal biology, as well as this interaction with Alzheimer's disease. This covers then preclinical models, transgenic models, translational medicine, preclinical imaging, as well as biomarkers. The second point that we would expect from the applicants is expertise with IT, mining of both our own data as well as public data. We really hope to be an important pillar in this program. And here we would like the applicant consortium to really bring in expertise and ideas on how we can best do that, as it is an area where there's a lot of information there that we really want to use to the largest extent. The third major bullet here is project management, and I put here an exclamation mark. And the reason is that we really want the applicant consortium to have a professional support for project management, professional and experienced. And the reason is what I mentioned earlier. If we have a company that's or an entity that is helping us with this project management, this will really help us to the scientists to stay focused on the deliverables that we wanted to work towards. So we want to focus on ApoE biology and target validation. And we would like a professional project office to really support the project management, so that we can reduce the administrative load for the scientists. And that is important if we think of what we want to achieve in this 3-year process. So I really wanted to stress that this is an important aspect that people need to think about. And there are companies that have experience in this respect. What will the FPM members bring? Again, we will bring managerial expertise. We will have a joint scientific leadership, and we have a sound track record and experience in drug development, preclinical as well as clinical research. We are 4 companies that have committed to this topic, and all of them have a strong interest in Alzheimer's disease. We have a strong scientific track record, and are really interested to increase this or to apply this our expertise also to bringing this topic forward. We are used to work on action plans, generate action plans, deliver on milestones. So I think with our experience, we really hope to be able to support this project to deliver the deliverables that we are interested in. Also, we foster collaborative and focused joint efforts to achieve our goals. We will have we have an indicative FPI in-kind contribution of €3.5 million, and the matching IMI joint contribution will be a maximum of €3.5 million. Again, this is at the moment still indicative, so wanted to mention that once again. Tools that the FPI members will be bringing in include, for instance, ApoE edited iPSC lines. We have two big efforts ongoing to get a whole set of edited iPSC lines, and we have expertise in working with iPS. For transgenic animals, we have for ApoE, we are right now very much focusing on the taconic knock-in mice. We have some activities ongoing of double transgenics as well, and that is something that we want to also use for this program. We will have ApoE lipidated protein. We have different antibodies, aminoacids, compound collections, as well as what we can do is, of course, support with ADME and PK characterization of tools. We have different assays that all of us are applying to the neuroscience and more specific Alzheimer's research. We all have expertise with high content imaging. We perform drug screening and cellular assays, and we will also have relevant human studies and data if this makes sense based on the information that is generated through this program. Expertise is very broad in the drug research and development field. As mentioned, iPSC, bioinformatics, as well as experimental medicine. So, why would you want to apply? What's in it for you? It will be the access to the tools, technologies, and expertise from diverse sources. And you will be working in close collaboration with leading FPI companies in the field of ApoE as well as Alzheimer's disease. It is an opportunity for you to really work in a multidisciplinary manner, which we can offer here. This is an international consortium for an indicative period of 3 years. But as I mentioned earlier, we are anticipating a future call for proposals, which is built on the assets and results of this initiative. In case we have successfully have identified points to go from, and this will then be to really get our ideas either further validated or to really bring them then to the clinic. We will identify and validate ApoE-related pathways that play a role in the progression of AD. So it will be also the basis of further research. And lastly, we will be establishing and sharing pre-competitive research and development tools to the scientific community to progress AD research in general. And of course, my personal driver, and I hope it is also for you. In the end, I really hope that this will result in better treatment options for ApoE4 carriers. Then I come to the last slide of my presentation and the key deliverables for the full program. This will be a refined ApoE hypothesis of Alzheimer's disease. It will be the generation and application of highly relevant model systems for ApoE and Alzheimer's. It will be the identification of promising entry points, or what we call targets, within ApoE biology for biopharmaceutical intervention. And lastly, the improved understanding of ApoE as a risk factor for Alzheimer's disease and its interactions with other risk factors. And this is all expected to support the identification of individuals at greatest risk for developing this disease. if we are successful with these deliverables, this will be then the basis for follow-up action that will bring this more to the clinic, but to identify the best treatment window, but also that will work further on biomarkers for certification to enable the intervention studies. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Margot, for the presentation. Now we move on to questions and answers. So just to remind everyone how to ask questions with GoToWebinar. You can type a question in writing in the question box and then click send. We will receive it, read it, and respond to your question. You can also use the raise hand button, so the yellow hand button, and in that case we will unmute you and you will be able to speak to us directly for Q&A. So I think we should start with a couple of questions that we have received by Danny Michelson, who is also online today. The first question he asked was related to the number of participants forming a consortium and what would be the preference in the proportion of academic versus industrial groups. And I think that maybe, Elisabetta, you're the best chance we have to get a good answer.
Well, okay, so there are two different aspects. One is, the first one is about the eligibility of your proposal, which simply says the legal basis for what your proposal to be considered at all. That is, you need to be at least 3 legal entities that can be funded by IMI that are in 3 European or countries, so they are part of the European Union or associated countries. So that's for the legal point of view. Then for what concern how many groups and what should they be, then you have to read very, very carefully the objective. The expert will have as one criterion that all the objectives of the topic have been considered. So you have to have all the necessary expertise for addressing this objective. And therefore you will have just to consider what is best, what you think, what is your best, have a go at this and have your best proposal for which is the best partnership.
Thank you, Elisabetta. There is also a second question that Danny Michelson asked. So it's a second question that Danny Michelson asked. And maybe, Margot, you may be the best one of us to answer. And it concerns the ApoE4 research and what the consortium would be expected to focus on, if it's on a specific theory or approach. Margot, can you help us clarify this point, please?
Yes. Okay. So I think this is a really important question that really comes to the heart of what we are aiming to do. And what we want is this consortium to focus on ideas that are driven from our understanding of ApoE biology. So we don't want to propose beforehand what needs to be concentrated on. As mentioned earlier, we actually want to answer that question. We want to help to answer the question whether we need to either increase or decrease ApoE levels and or function, and of what specific pathway. So no, we do not want to preset what needs to be addressed in this respect. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Margot. Yes, I would actually suggest if Danny has any follow-up point, please you can just click on the raise hand button and then we can bring you live onto the debate and then you can ask any other details you may need. We now have a question by Patrick Vito. Patrick, I just wanted to check with you. You talk about PI. We wonder if that's maybe IP, intellectual property, or not. In any case, please do. Yes, it's IP. I see you answered already. Thank you. So, Patrick, question is, how do you see the biomarkers section, discovery, validation, deliverable, assay, and IP associated?
The IP is something maybe that Elisabetta can discuss, but that is an important part of the contract that is made at the initiation of such a project. but the biomarkers kind of here, as I mentioned before, we will not have much wet work on biomarker validation and assays. We are more really at this moment trying to find out what biomarkers could look like, or that can really help us then to identify targets, validate targets, etc. The biomarkers will be a bigger aspect of the envisaged follow-up call. Elisabeth, do you want to say something to the IP?
I can simply say that, so as I said, because we really need to concentrate on the science for this webinar, but on the 9th of July, there is going to be a webinar specifically on the rules, including IP provision. And in any case, there are also some information on our website on the IP rules that are part of the grant agreement for IMI2. And in any case, it is expected that the team, the consortium, will sign a consortium agreement where all these points will be defined.
Thank you both for the answers. So while we wait maybe for some more questions to come in, I would like to remind us, Roberta said, we already have a webinar scheduled for 9th of July. You can register for that webinar on the IMI webpage that is dedicated to the webinar. You can also trace it from the IMI homepage, the website of, homepage. And we will have the IMI legal manager there. So it's a great opportunity actually to ask any detailed or specific questions you may have about the rules applying to the cause, but especially the IP rights. And also, we want to stress the fact that the presentation from today will be published on the website of IMI, the page dedicated to the webinars. We hope to be able to also publish the recording of this webinar if all the technical aspects are fine. And please also check out the partner search tool that we have. There is a link from the homepage of the IMI website, as Elisabetta mentioned before. It's a very good tool for finding partners that may be potentially interested in participating in an application consortium. There is also another way to network with people by contacting people, fellow webinar participants. So participants of this webinar, you still get a very good chance of being in touch with people that have a very high interest in the application for a consortium. Maybe we should wait another couple of minutes to see if there are any other questions. Please hurry up and send them in.
In the meantime, I also would like to stress one important point. That is, when you write your proposal, be aware that there is a page limit. We have a page limit of 15 pages, and the evaluator will be asked to discard, even don't look at all, any page that is further of these 15 pages. So please try to write in a good and synthetic way what you want to present.
So we see no other questions coming in. Margot, would you have any other message for potential applicants that you may want to share, or any tips or anything else that you want to ask?
I think I've got to put all my important messages in the discussion earlier. I'm really looking forward to your proposals. And I'm really looking forward to your ideas on how we can really bring this project and this topic forward.
Thank you, Margot. And in the meantime, we got two last questions. So one is from Patrick Vito. He's asking how many countries shall the consortium be made of? So the only indication that we have, as Elisabetta mentioned before, is minimum 3 members. From 3 different European countries or associated countries. And this is what we can fund with IMI funding. Then we have another question by Leon Tai. who is asking, can one of the partners be from the USA? Scientifically, having access to the Alzheimer's disease brain banks would be a great access. Elisabetta, would you want to answer, please?
Yes. So the point, there are two different aspects of this. One is that for what concerns participating to a consortium, everybody is welcome, whoever they are in the world. Unfortunately, for what concerns the IMI funding, our rules for eligibility are much more strict. That means we can only fund participants that are in the European countries or associated associated country to Horizon 2020. Said that, there can always be the possibility to argue that a participant that is not in this country should be funded. But you have to be aware that this will have then to be specifically evaluated by the evaluators. That can be that the evaluator will not consider this something that they recommend, and so this can be a problem. So you have to be a little bit careful if you intend to have some participants that are from countries that are not in the group of countries that are eligible for IMI funding. Consider to have them in your consortium. If they can pay their own expenses and then join, that's fine. If you want them also to be funded by IMI, since this is an exception to the rule, will have to be specifically evaluated by the expert, and they could say no. So, because this is a bit of an exception. So just be careful about that. And I think there will be more on this again on the 9th of July webinar about more of the rules. But if you can scientifically justify their participation, I mean, all participants should be scientifically justified. So that's, of course, good.
Thank you, Elisabetta. So I think we've come to the end of our webinar today. We have no more questions coming in. We would like to thank Margot, first of all, from ApoE for her time and dedication and for the presentation in detail. Thank you, Elisabetta, for also guiding all the preparation in view of this call. Thank you all for participating. If you have any questions, please do call the IMI office. The phone number is on the website. Email us by sending a message to info@imi.europa.eu or to Elisabetta Valdano's email address that you found on the slides before. We will share the presentation. We hope that we will be able to also put the recording online, and we remain available for any questions you may have. In the meantime, thank you very much, and good luck for your potential applications for this topic. Thank you and goodbye.